Welcome back, everybody, to the Omen Encounter semifinal as Nightblue's team, victorious in game number 1, takes on Trick2g's team here, looking to bounce back in game number 2. Myself, Optimus Top, and Sifa going to be bringing you the remaining games of this best-of-5 series, and now it's really on Trick's team, Sifa, to adapt to what Nightblue's team did in game number 1, because, for lack of a better word, Nightblue's team was pretty much in control that entire game.
Yeah, pretty much, and you can see their first adaptation is going to be banning away that Gnar. Gnar there. They additionally ban away the Azir. Want to make sure that Golden Glue has no chance to pick that champion up. Obviously, Golden Glue, a very strong Azir player, and even if he does suffer in the early game, is going to be able to do so much work in the late game. We saw yesterday a lot of things, but not yesterday is not the focus of conversation anymore because Rek'Sai going to be locked in for, well, somebody. Zen looking Nightblue, who is sure, but denied from RF Legendary as well. This is an insanely powerful champion on this patch, arguably as powerful as Nara Lissandra. Really surprised to see that this one got through. The Cho'Gath ban coming in from Nightblue squad might have been to make sure that they would get Rek'Sai in this situation.
I mean, there's a couple other things you could ban. You could try to put Trick on something uncomfortable and ban Udyr. You could maybe ban out, a Lissandra if you weren't looking to pick it up, a Corki, a Graves, something like that. But deciding to go with the Cho'Gath is perplexing at best to me. I'm not exactly sure who of these players is a top tier Cho'Gath player, but it's been banned out either way, and that is replacing the Rek'Sai ban, like you said, was picked up first here by Nightblue's team now over on the blue side. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's a jungle pickup for Nightblue, as he was playing that when it was on PvE, has been playing it on his own stream, but we'll have to wait and see for that one. It does mean that Trick's going to wind up going for his own Udyr pickup over here. None of the junglers already taken. Very surprised, though, that he was picking up that Udyr in that quickly during the draft, that rather than going for the same kind of strategy went last game, getting 2 power picks and the solo lane picks.
I think he's not quite sure what exactly they want to get 9JX here, and they know that picking Udyr doesn't really affect their team comp as a whole. They know they will pick it eventually regardless. Trick2g's champion pool at this point consisting of Udyr, Volibear, and Jax. Given how poor the Volibear pick has worked in the past, it's obviously one of those two. So picking that up to make sure that they have a more comfortable bottom lane this game. You can see that they get the Janna now, knowing that it has a decent matchup versus the Corki. Trying to hide as much information as possible in these lane matchups because last game, despite in theory having better lanes, they really suffered. So this game, they need to make sure they have decent lane matchups, and they need to make sure that they have a solid team comp. You see the Janna might get picked, the Graves might get picked as well. Janna, of course, the strongest support, arguably, on this patch right now, and just going to be able to do so much work disengaging this Rek'Sai and this Jarvan when it comes down to team fights.
Yeah, the Jarvan and the Corki locked in for the side of Nightblue's team. Like you said before, every single time Fabi gets his hands on Corki, he's going to be able to pick that one up and play it. He was on the opposite side of this matchup last game, although he was the one with a Vel'Koz, and the opposing team had a Thresh, but this time around it's going to be a little bit different. There's going to be a lot of damage coming out from that Graves bottom lane matchup, but it's going to be in a different form of, well, the different way it's going to be damaging here. It's not going to be a support dealing magic damage, and it's going to be the Janna shield adding an extra damage to those Graves auto attacks and the buckshots up front. However, it does look like there's going to be a lot of more poke and a lot of more damage coming out from the bottom lane combination on a Nightblue's team once again. Corki has the upfront burst, mix of magic and physical damage. The Vel'Koz being hovered over here by a Zingy means that, well, it's the only support we've seen him play since he's been locked into a support role for Nightblue's team. Wouldn't be surprised to see him pick that one up again here. Did a lot of damage in that bottom lane combined with Graves. Not surprised if this is going to wind up doing the same exact thing here with Corki. Being able to knock somebody backwards, set up a very nice phosphorus bomb could be very, very beneficial here. The Kassadin also picked up here for Nightblue's team. That's something we haven't seen for quite some time, but Kassadin, if he's able to survive the early game, is still pretty much a late game beast.
Yeah, and this is really clever pick ban coming in from Nightblue's team, especially that Jarvan pick, of course, able to go top or jungle. Jarvan known to have a solid matchup against Lissandra in the top lane, so they have a little bit of flexibility there. And then the Kassadin pick locked in as well, also having a solid matchup in Lissandra in the mid lane. So kind of trying to limit the options for how they use this Lissandra pick. But then on the other side, we do see this Zed hover over. Zed obviously incredibly strong against Kassadin, especially in the early game, just able to do so much more damage. And of course, Kassadin's magic shield and reduced magic damage taken going to be completely completely irrelevant in that lane. So you see Strompus now going to pick this one up here. They have the Lissandra, they have the Zed. There's really no counter options available, and there's now a lot of pressure on Golden Glue to do well. He's obviously in a very disadvantaged lane, and you see that Jarvan, now the pick for Zen, the solo king in the top lane. This is something he has played before, has built that full 80 Jarvan, and obviously the amount of CC and the amount of all-in potential coming in from Jarvan in the top lane means that RF Legendary is going to be in a tough spot himself.
Yeah, Jarvan has a ridiculous amount of just raw damage he's able to output, and if Zen the Solo King is going to be building a little bit of damage and then going into a tanky build afterwards, picking up something like a Tiamat into Hydra, going for a Brutalizer, just something to add a little bit of more damage down onto the enemy team, it's going to be extremely, extremely effective. Now, we've already mentioned Trick's team compositions normally don't have a dedicated tank, and the same thing is going on here. Lissandra, Zed, Udyr, even the Janna pickup here for support over the Thresh, everybody on the team is going to be rather squishy. They all have ways to move around and evade some damage though, so it's really going to be up once again to the map movement coming out from Trick's team if they're able to get it off. Last game, Nightblue's team was able to move around the map earlier with a early Lee Sin jungle. This time around, they have the Rek'Sai, has the tunnels, has the ability to gank very fluidly in these lanes. Once Nightblue gets that ultimate, we're going to see how versatile that Rek'Sai pick can really be in ganking and move around the map and controlling that Dragon Pit area once again. So it's really going to be, I think, about the early game. A little bit harder for Nightblue's team to survive this time with the Cassidy pickup in the mid lane rather than the stronger Lissandra pick during the laning phase, but I still really like the composition that they have here for controlling objectives.
And there's a huge amount of pressure on RF Legendary and Golden Glue to survive during the laning phase, both of them at a disadvantage in the top and mid lane respectively. But at the same time, once we hit this mid-game stride, both of these teams excellent at making picks. Rek'Sai and J4 obviously alone able to make strong picks. Kassadin using that superior mobility, and of course that pretty much always going to be available when he has that slow. But on the opposite side, Zed, Lissandra, Udyr, all of these champions are going to look for those 1v1 situations or, you know, for a gank backed up by Lissandra as well. So really interesting team comp from both sides. A lot less team fight focus from both teams this time, but definitely a huge potential for picks. So I think a lot of it is going to come down to vision control. And when you have a dedicated support like Janna, who can reliably get the vision control early, who gets a lot more mobility, I imagine that the vision is going to be a little bit in favor of Trick2g's team, whereas a Zingy on that Vel'Koz support does have to be a little bit of damage to be or build a little bit of damage to be of value to his team as a whole.
Well, Zingy had a lot of kills and not a lot of deaths last game. We'll see if he's going to get the ball rolling in the bottom lane for the side of Nightblue's team once again, or if Trick and his army are going to be able to bounce back and tie up the series at 1-1 apiece. Guys, it's a best of 5 here at the OMEN Encounter semifinals. Nightblue's team is already up 1-0. We're about to jump on the rift for game number 2 to see where this series is going to be headed. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, Nightblue's team on the blue side against Trick's team on the red side. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody, to the OMEN Encounter semifinals, game number 2. Nightblue's team starting off on the blue side this time around, already up 1-0 over Trick's army on the red side this time in this best of 5 series. We're going to see how things change in this one, though. Trick's team, a little bit of adaptation here. Zed in the mid lane, Lissandra in the top lane, still Udyr in the jungle, and they got the Graves Janna this game. On the flip side for Nightblue's team, they got some pretty interesting pickups here. Castle Win in the mid lane, as well as solo top Jarvan for Zen, the Solo King. We'll have to see how these picks come into play. Trick's team was a bit aggressive on the invade last game. Looks like they're still kind of doing something similar, but it might be just a powwow on the Dragon Pit here. Fabi gonna phosphorus bomb over the wall, finds Trick and RF Legendary, so they're gonna have to back away from that one.
I wonder if that was going to be an early dragon attempt, or if they were like just trying to catch someone out as they went into the jungle, or what was the thought behind that strategy? I really hope
Dragon Pit.
Party in the Dragon Pit. Truly a strategic mastermind. Ladies and gentlemen, hire Optimus Tom as an analyst for your challenger team. Gotta start the game with a party in the Dragon Pit.
Listen, if you don't get everybody in the mood to win and in a good mood, then you will not be successful. But starting off with a party in the Dragon Pit and throwing a couple Scar Awards over the wall is a really good way to get the game underway. So is, like, you know, like starting your jungler at a buff or going for the Gromp, but we digress from all these higher level strategic talks here. Trick's team going to start off on the blue side, whereas it looks like Nightblue's team going to be starting off on their own red side. Nightblue at the Krugs, Trick2g over at the Gromp. We see some very aggressive wards being put down in the jungle that kind of keep track of where that Udyr is going to be on the red side from Nightblue's team, whereas just the river wards is kind of all they got after that party in the Dragon Pit at level 1.
Nightblue clearing out his own Krugs here in this situation. Trick2g not going to take his own Gromp, wants to give Zerbic and 9JX that Gromp start, give them a little bit of XP. Curious to see if they give all of the XP to Zerbic to give him level 2, but no, it looks like they are going to split it up in this situation. Still, however, that will be a small advantage to them, and as this lane is naturally going to push into them now that they've been absent for lane for so long, they will still manage to get level 2 first in this situation, most likely, so this is kind of a disadvantage to a Zingy and Fabi specifically. So, curious to see how they play, and if they are aggressive enough to get level 2 first, because it is definitely within their power to do so.
Well, we saw Corki getting level 2 over Graves last game. We'll have to see here. It looks like on the opposite side here, Zerbic and 9JX do hit level 2 first again this game. They're going to wind up going in, getting a little bit of trade damage onto Fabi and Zingy, and trying to get a little bit of zone out here. Zingy throwing out a couple of those Qs there from Vel'Koz is not going to wind up hitting 9JX, ducking and dodging through the brushes here. Plasma Fission is back off cooldown. We'll see if they wind up shooting those out once again. An early shield from 9JX. The hit goes down to him, and maybe a little bit more aggression here from Zerbic, going forward with a quick dash and a buckshot, trying to use that level 2 advantage as much as possible, but now things have kind of evened up in experience in the bottom side of the map. Mid lane, we do see Strampus and Golden Glue kind of going toe-to-toe against each other here. Both hit level 3. Strampus taking a bit of damage and then trading it immediately back in a quick burst from himself there onto Kassadin. Top lane matchup here has been just Jarvan going up against Lissandra. Both of them kind of content to farm it out rather more than trade damage like the other two lanes on the map so far.
Yeah, you can see Jarvan pushing up a little bit here in this top lane, and now the lane is finally even again after that initial push from him. This is when he's going to want to look to play aggressive. He does have advantage at level 3 in this situation. Lissandra's Snare not going to do a whole lot if he's already in the mid flag and drag animation. So if he's clever about how he engages here, he should be able to come out on top in a lot of these trade situations, but he may just play patient and wait for Nightblue. You can see once again, Nightblue does have that chilling smite, opted to get the Stalker's Blade, wants to play aggressively as possible in this situation, and no surprise, Trick2g once again going to go for that improved jungle clear, wants to stay healthy, wants to keep his mana up. As we transition, we talked a little bit about that in the other game, and once again, Zenithal King now with a level advantage, you can see he's starting to come out on top in those trades, maybe not in mana, but definitely in health.
Yeah, we see 26 compared to 17 in the CS department as well. So Zen the Solo King, knowing the early game advantages of this solo lane Jarvan compared to Lissandra, it is more of a physical damage, off tanky kind of champion in that top lane, going up against what is normally heralded as an AP mage. Built for mid lane, built for abuse of top laners, but still the damage potential on Jarvan going to be getting a big factor. We actually see Trick coming in, getting an early gank off in the mid lane here, but Nightblue's there to counteract and teleport from Zen the Solo King as well, and that one got turned around on its head really quick. See if a Nightblue for first blood.
Good use of the teleport from Zen the Solo King, completely denying Strampus any chance of responding to that situation. Nightblue burning flash, making sure Trick has no opportunity to run away. Excellent play from them to start this off, denying Trick2g the double buff. You know, if he had started with any other jungle item, this would pretty much be the end of any chance he has to gank. Luckily, he did opt for that improved clear, so he won't suffer too poorly from this, but now Nightblue is going to be at such an advantage, and we saw last game when he was playing, we said how well he did with that advantage.
He's got a refresh double buff too, which is going to be a big factor in this one too. He's going to be able to move around the map, get some more ganks off successfully, and doesn't really even have to go back quite yet. Strampus actually, speaking of going back, he didn't go back either, has burned through all of his health potions, has his longsword still in his inventory, but is going to be getting zoned away by Nightblue and the ever-present threat of that Rek'Sai coming back in for a repeat gank. Both summoners are available for Strampus, though. He is going to, after a little bit of damage trade, but casting him from Golden Glue's side, and maybe I should go back in this circumstance here. Does get the recall back off, whereas Golden Glue is going to stick around and mop up a little bit more CS.
And yes, while Kassadin is naturally at a disadvantage in this lane, if he gets level 6 first and can poke down Strampus before Strampus gets his own level 6, he's going to be ahead for the entire game. Until Strampus will have another opportunity to back, Golden Glue is going to have absolute control over that laning phase. You can see now that he's able to push out one more wave and get level 6 before he backs. So, you know, when he comes back into this lane, he's going to be a threat.
Bottom lane, we do see here that Zerbic and 9JX froze it up just in front of their own tower, but it does free up Fabi and Zingy to help Nightblue and Golden Glue come in, get this dragon down. Another early dragon take up here by Nightblue's team, the first of them for this game. They did want to get 5 compared to 0 of Trick's army last game, so this could be a start of another dangerous path for Trick and his squad. There's 1-0 in the towers, 1-0 in the dragons, 1-0 in the kills as well, and a very slight gold advantage in favor of Nightblue's team. So far, this is kind of how the game was going last game, except now Fabi and Zingy are the ones pushing up against Zerbic and 9JX.
And and I know for a fact Trick2g was spectating all of the games last night, so he has seen Zen the Solo King play Jarvan, and if he's on top of letting his team know, he will know that Zen the Solo King is going to rush that Tiamat like he did against Cutie Pie, try to push out that lane, and immediately roam on the map. So Strumpus has to be very careful about when he uses his Shadow and when he uses his ultimate, because if Jarvan is there to follow up, he will not be getting anything on Golden Blue at all. Golden Blue opting to start with the tier means, you know, he's delaying a little bit of power spike there, but is guaranteeing a lot of late game power. This Kassadin already sort of weak in this early and mid game stage, but you know, late game with that Seraph's Embrace is going to be so strong and so tanky in these team fights.
Well, once again, we wind up having a pause in this matchup here. We're going to wind up seeing if it's... Looks like it might be Golden Glue once again, as he's the one saying, hey, that was pretty cool. So we'll have to see about this. Golden Glue and Strumpus, meanwhile, have been kind of fighting over by the top side river. It looked like both of them wanted to go for a little bit of a roam, and they wind up finding each other. Trick sitting there in the mid lane, but it looks like Nightblue's just around the corner as well. So I really just want this pause to come out because it looks like we might have some action in this river area here. But right now, Nightblue's team, still slight advantage in favor for them. It's only about 7.5 minutes into the game, so it could wind up going either way. But already demonstrating more objective control, and just looking at by all the purple on the map right here, it looks like that there is a lot of map control and a lot of tunnels down already for Rek'Sai.
Yeah, but the vision control is stellar, and while the tunnels do give you a decent amount of map control, vision is still very important. Zingy opting to run Exhaust this game is paying off dividends. You just saw it denied Zervik that all-in attempt. And Golden Blue coming...
Yeah, we did see that the river engagement here going in. We saw a flash burn inside of Strumpus. Golden Glue was not fed, again, not enough items just basically to get the damage down to pick up those kills. But in the bottom, like you said, Zervik and 9JX taking a lot of damage from a trade here between Fabi and Zingy. Just the raw damage output coming out from Vel'Koz a little bit overpowering at this point in time. We did see Janna going back picking up a Ruby Crystal going towards her Sightstone, but Vel'Koz went back and upgraded his Frostfang, so a little bit more ability power, 10, not all that much, but still, depending on runes and masteries, could wind up being a little bit more. The extra damage just on hit coming out from that one, going to be a big factor in these trades in the bottom lane. We see it paying dividends here. Like we said too, just being able to set up those phosphorus bombs for Corki means just more guaranteed damage in those trades.
Yeah, definitely. The Phosphorus Bomb, very strong. Obviously, receiving a nerf to that projectile speed in the most recent patch means it's going to be harder to land. But when you can follow it, or when you can follow up CC with that Phosphorus Bomb, it's going to do so much. The base damage still incredibly high, and obviously, Corki is still known for the absurd amount of burst he can put out. Doesn't have a sheen yet, but when he does, that number is going to get even higher. Maybe able to compete with Graves in that collateral damage burst as we transition into the mid game. However, one thing I want to consider here is how Golden Blue's going to approach this. Never mind, gank in the bot lane.
Yeah, Zervik goes in, Zervik goes out. As Nightblue kind of poking his head down in that bottom lane area. He dashed in and flashed out and didn't really want to pitting any of his skills with this. So burn Summoner just by having Nightblue in the vicinity in that bottom lane.
And before we were so interrupted by the ever-aggressive Nightblue ganks and the mobility of Rek'Sai, I was talking a little bit about Golden Blue's build path. One thing we saw right before the end of Season 4 was the popularity of that blue build Kassadin, and I wonder if this is what we're going to see this game. We already see the Zhonya's starting to be built, the tier as well. You know, if he transitions into the Frozen Fist in the mid-game, he's going to be pretty much unkillable. Almost all of the damage coming out from Trick's team is physical damage, you know. And Rek'Sai now TPing into the bot lane.
Yeah, we hear that Void Rush scream coming out as Nightblue goes down onto Zervik, gets the slow off coming out from a little poke there. Nightblue not going to be able to get a successful gank off in the bottom lane, but does force back Zervik and 9JX. Looking at the map, it seems that Nightblue and his team trying to get some vision around the blue buff area, or maybe not, just Nightblue coming in, scouting things out. So gank in the bottom lane, they burned the summoner earlier. He's not able to capitalize on that though.
Yeah, kind of overestimating the strength of the teleport there. Obviously, the teleport still has a very long delay, despite being incredibly fast as you approach those tunnels. You know, when you have to cross that much of the map, it's not quite as quick as you need it to be in this situation. The Zingy, of course, not able to follow up too much. Unlike Nightblue, who's now immediately able to go into the mid lane and pick up that kill onto Strumpus. Golden Blue, of course, getting the last hit there. Good hard engage from them as a team, denying Strumpus any damage after the ult went off. So you saw that pop there on Golden Glue, completely and totally unsatisfying. Sorry, the pop onto Nightblue, as Nightblue was still full health.
And meanwhile, we see RF Legendary getting traded upon by a trying to dirty farm Zen the Solo King. Does walk around the wall, gets a knock up down onto RF Legendary. He's able to get a decent amount of damage in that trade, and still slight experience advantage going towards solo lane Jarvan. speaking of all the different lanes coming out across this map, it's pretty much playing out like it was last game. We see Zen the Solo King and Golden Blue with early lane advantages over their solo lane opponents. But in the bottom side of the map, it's Zerbic and XJ9, or 9JX. Sorry about that. Big difference between those two guys. But Zerbic and 9JX getting the advantage on the bottom side of the map despite the focus coming down from Nightblue3 and Azingi. Top lane Arf Legendary has to pop his frozen on himself, and just a quick Dragon Strike to able to seal the deal after the Cataclysm phase right there. Another 1v1 kill picked up in top lane for Zen the Solo King.
Zen the Solo King just showing how comfortable he is on this drive and pickup. That Tiamat paying off dividends, consistently pushing out the lane, making sure Arf Legendary has to burn so much of his mana to last hit under that tower. And then knowing when exactly he can call and not scared at all of the frozen team. And, you know, I think they saw Trick2g back there as well, so there was just no fear, and he knew 100% he'd get that 1v1 situation. Almost like Golden Blue there, who got the smallest amount of assistance from Nightblue as he basically solo killed Strompest.
Yeah, this is a big, big problem for the side of Trick's team. The Cassidy pick, we said, very weak in the early stages of the game. You wanted to try to abuse that lane. You wanted to try to get that Zed ahead as early as possible. And we saw Trick, unfortunately, a failed gank coming in the mid lane. Actually, it was counter-ganked by Nightblue as well as a teleport from Zen the Solo King. Gave away first blood to Nightblue, gave up the double boss, and it's kind of put Trick into sitting in the jungle and farming up mode ever since because he wound up falling behind in that circumstance. Strompus fell behind because the assist gold as well as the buffs going over in that transfer, and the continued pressure by Nightblue going in from this bottom lane, going back to mid lane, consistently going back and forth with these tunnels from Rek's side. The movement on the map just impeccable from their side, and they're capitalizing brilliantly on it. This Caston already 2-0-1 over a 0-2-0 Zed in the early stage of this game. There's a CS advantage, an item advantage, just general advantages for Nightblue's team early on, just like in game 1.
Yeah, and you know, if we do see a repeat, that would be 2-0 for Nightblue, and that's a huge advantage. Trick2g have the morale to keep fighting this battle, but they might not even be worried about that. More worried about just keeping Trick2g alive at this point, as he does go down for the second time there. Rek'Sai with so much CC, unable, or Trick2g completely unable to move in that situation. Golden Blue following it up with the Force Pulse. Just not a lot of options for Trick2g there. Consistently having to burn his flash to try to live, and then going down anyway. Not the situation he wants to have. The blue buff is stolen away. It's a Zed mid lane, so that's not a big deal, but the Dragon is going to come afterwards. It's going to be a huge advantage for the team as a whole. And as we move forward in the game, Nightblue's team once again dominant Dragon control, like you mentioned in the last game. The second Dragon not so important, but the third Dragon incredibly important. And then of course the fifth is a game ender. We saw Nightblue's team end it right as they got the fifth Dragon, and they appear to be on schedule, mopping this one up. Can Trick2g's team come back is my big question.
Well, they wound up picking up the second Dragon of the game for themselves. They took out the enemy smite, so that was pretty much a safe deal for themselves there. But still, 5 kills compared to 0 in this early stage of this game. Gotta say, it's looking very, very similar to game number 1. It was 4-0 with 2 Dragons in favor of Nightblue's team last game, but Trick's team was at least responding with towers on the map. This time around, not able to do so. The lanes just aren't really getting that much of an advantage. Mid lane here, we do see Zed going in on Kassadin. Does get him down to just below half HP, but that's using his ultimate, using the Bilgewater Cutlass active, doing pretty much everything. Kassadin just walking away from that one. Top lane, Arf Legendary continuing to get abused and battered by Zen, the solo kill. A Void Rush coming out from Nightblue is going to want it going over towards the Baron Pit, so they might be wrapping around to try to seal the deal here on Arf Legendary. Doesn't matter, the Cataclysm goes out, Zen the Solo King picks up a kill before Arf Legendary can even Frozen Tomb.
Yeah, he tried to Frozen Tomb. Zen the Solo King was even wondered exactly what happened there, and he did get it off, but unfortunately Jarvan was already too far in the cast animation of Cataclysm, so it did not cancel the cast animation, and instead just gave Zen the Solo King the instant damage to take out Lissandra there. So strong, Lissandra's cooldown burned in that situation, and of course Zen the Solo King getting that kill pickup. Still has TP available here, is going to look to transition this into a kill on Trick2g. Nightblue, however, not going to push too far.
Yeah, just continuing to push Trick out of his own jungle at this point here. Mid lane though, Golden Glue going into Strompus, level 10 compared to level 9. Strompus is the one that winds up getting taken down to about half HP after that one. Now Golden Glue hitting level 11. Had gone back and picked up his own Archangel Staff, going towards the Saris Embrace, trying to stack that one up as quickly as possible. Has the Seeker's Arm Guard as well. Meanwhile, 9JX literally caught out in the enemy jungle, trying to get some forward wards down. Is going to wind up going down. A killing spree picked up for Golden Glue. The top lane tower went down at the same time for Nightblue's team. That'll accrues to a 4,000 gold, 7 kill advantage at 15.5 minutes.
Yeah, and questionable use of Flash from 9JX in that situation. You know, Kassadin obviously having so much mobility that at that point when you're caught out, you kind of just need to accept your fate there. Golden Blue so far ahead, already has the Archangel Staff, now working on finishing picking up that Zonya's Hourglass or maybe Sorcerer's Shoes. You know, he is so far ahead. He's not really forcing that Hourglass build anytime soon. We saw last time Strampus tried to all-in with that Zed ultimate. He didn't get a whole lot there. The only thing actually hitting Golden Blue was the Bilgewater Cutlass and the proc itself, doing just almost no damage. You can see now that Strampus does have Brutalizer, however, so that might change a little bit, but as the Secret Arm Guard is going to get more and more stacked, it's going to be harder and harder for them to get deep.
Well, Trick popping the Bear Sim, trying to get down this bottom lane. Fabi going to Valkyrie away. Now Nightblue ends on the solo kick coming from behind Trick's tower. Fabi's going to get the kill. Flash forward and a knock up there from Nightblue. Does get knocked backwards. That's just going to be able to kick up a kill on Janna. Golden Glue getting jumped on here by Strampus, as well as Lissandra from ARF Legendary. Finally able to pick up the kill there is Zed in the mid lane. A shutdown spree with that one. But all across the board, it is a 2-for-1 trade. A tower on top of that going over to Nightblue's team.
And RF Legendary making good use of the Lissandra ult in that situation. You know, when you can lock down that Kassadin for a few seconds, Zed is the perfect champion to kill him. When someone is held still, he's going to be able to land all 3 of the Razor's Hurricanes, giving him functionally quadruple damage once that death proc hits. Just doing so much work and providing so much burst against that CC target.
Well, the Void Rush coming out from Nightblue to defend this tower, is then the Soul King makes his way over there as well. Strampus dropping down to about half HP right here. Does pop a health potion. Is the Shadow going to be up? Yes, it is. Looks like there's Flag and Dragons up there from Zen the Solo King as well. Nightblue going forward as well as a flash from Zen the Solo King to pick up that kill. It is 10 kills to 1 right now. And that scoreboard, it tells the whole story of this game, Sifa. Dominance by Nightblue's team.
Yeah, Nightblue's team apparently undeterred by the lack of Lissandra and Gnar on their team this game. Zem the Solo King looking so confident on that Jarvan pickup. And RF Legendary a little bit limited with this Lissandra pick.
Nightblue's still over there from when he killed the last guy. I don't know if RF Legendary knew that, but now he's dead. Nightblue picking up another kill for himself.
Yeah, the AP Rek'Sai experience going down to that Q there. But just such crisp play from the team. As a whole, such crisp play, and I think overall, this is kind of Nightblue's team looking very dominant. They're moving across the map, they're using their map-wide movement very well, and of course, as I was mentioning earlier, RF Legendary not as good on Lissandra as a champion as he is on the Nidalee or on the Rek'Sai. Obviously, much more team-focused champions do a lot less upfront damage than champions like Rek'Sai or Nidalee, and are much more reliant on kind of team fights. You can see RF Legendary clearly not comfortable with engaging in these team fights, instead trying to get these solo kills and these picks, which could benefit him, but not fully utilizing the champion in the way that makes it powerful.
Well, the thing of it is, too, he's going for all these solo kills, but he was getting killed by the Solo King himself in the top lane here. He's gone down twice by himself, as well as once from a gank coming in from Nightblue here. 3-0-2 on Jarvan, get ready to 0-3-1 for Lissandra. Jarvan already has 2 items. Lissandra's only been able to finish kind of like 1.5 with that Seeker's Arm card. Though there's a jungle brawl going down in this top lane here as Nightblue's trying to get the damage down to Trick2g. Trick, though, barely out of mana, barely out of life as well. Now flashes away from Golden Glue coming in from that one. He is able to survive in that one, but 3 members of Nightblue's team have been pulled up to this top lane. There isn't a lot that Trick and his army can get on the bottom side of the map, though. Maybe he set some exit frags here. Golden Glue getting down very, very low, but sends the Solo King, just blows up Strampus right there. Picks up his 4th kill of the game. Jarvan on a rampage.
Jarvan with that full 80 build does have the Ravenous Hydra, does have the Youmuu's Ghostblade. We usually see him transition to more tanky stats at this stage in the game, but, you know, when Zed himself has absolutely no resistances, those Jarvan bases, and that pretty solid Jarvan scaling is just going to do so much work in that situation. Strampus not able to get his ultimate off there, and great lockdown from Zen the Solo King, and good use of the Rift Walk from Golden Glue to get out of range before Strampus could respond at all.
Well, they were able to pick up the mid lane tower. The dragon was on the map before. They're just going to waltz over and pick up the 3rd dragon of the game for themselves here. Just cresting the 20-minute mark. Golden Glue in the meantime going to find RF Legendary waiting in this press. RF Legendary tries to get away. Does want to pop in the Frozen Tomb, and the Gianna shield is going to help him survive from that engagement there. But still, this Golden Glue Kassadin is extremely scary. This Zen the Solo King Jarvan is even scarier. Nightblue himself is 4-0-4 on Rek'Sai. Trinity Force picked up. Doesn't even need boots. Strampus goes in, but Strampus has to go out. Nightblue almost taking him down all by himself with 9J X-Ray to back him up. Zervik comes in as well, but a tunnel over the blue buff wall is going to get Nightblue out of that kind of 3v1 kind of engagement, which he almost picked up a kill on Zed.
Immediate knock up onto Zed after the death mark was used. Good patience from Nightblue to know that that was coming in, and then, you know, when Zed's knocked up like that, you deny a lot of damage in that situation. And of course, Janna, the worst person to pair there, not able to offer any support. And Nightblue just, throwing out that tunnel at the last second to escape Graves. Just doing so well. And just so far ahead now. And Zed so far behind if they didn't get anything out of that.
Well, another Void Rush coming into the top lane here. Nightblue wants to try to pick up a kill on Trick. Does get the burrow through the tunnel down here. Does not want to get in the slowdown from the Q, though. Nightblue is going to wind up walking around and find people standing still because he can't see them if he's on the ground that way. 9JX and Stromp is trying to set up a gank over here, but Nightblue did want to poke one out. Golden Glue goes in, gets a decent amount of damage down to Strumpus and 9JX. It takes a bit of burst in the face for himself from that one. Now it's Nightblue's team kind of closing in. They set their sights on this tier 2 mid lane tower, Sifa. They're starting to get the wave clear down. Fabi on Corki has picked up a BF sword, Sorcerer's Shoes, and Eternity Force. Those rockets, that poke damage is going to start forcing away Trick2g's team from this mid lane tower. The minions to come up, they're going to try to get some damage down on this one. We'll have to see how much damage actually gets down before they're forced away. The shields have been popped on most of Trick's team here. Not a heck of a lot of damage on the tower quite yet. The siege might not be what they're looking for. The poke is coming out on the 9JX, but Trick's team actually able to force away Nightblue's team. Oh, never mind. Nightblue comes over the wall, jumps on the Zerbic right here. The Monsoon immediately comes out. 9JX keeping his AD carry alive in that situation. They're backing away from the mid lane tower for now, but that's just because Zen the Solo King and Zingy are in this top lane, pushing down the top tier 2 tower. They're able to pick up the tier 2 after all, when the top lane work goes down. Now in the mid lane, Fabi and Nightblue trying to get down the mid lane tower. Valkyrie over the wall, flashes backwards. Zerbic is going to wind up getting hit up in the life form disintegration ray, and a Zingy picking up a first kill of this game for himself.
Yeah, Zingy not doing quite as much work this game as he did in the last one. A lot more focus on the solo laners this game from Nightblue's team, but still able to pick up that kill there. Still doing a little bit for his team. And Zen the Solo King looks like he'll go down almost immediately. No resistance in this situation. Is, however, almost able to burst out Strumpus.
Oh man, Zen the Solo King lives. Rule number 1, if you say he's surely going to fall, he does not fall. Trust me, I watch a lot of EVLCS, it happens all the time. However, they are going to wind up getting a tower out of this one. Zen the Solo King was forced backwards, and so is the rest of Trick's team. Mid-tier 2 tower winds up going out in favor of Nightblue's team, and without all the Azir towers here to screw us up, it is 5 towers to 0 in favor of Nightblue's blue team. Now 6 is Golden Glue is split pushing that one in the bottom lane. Gates are being opened on Trick this game, as well as a can of kills. 13 compared to 1. It is a 41.8k to 29.4k gold lead. I can't do the math because more gold is coming in here as Golden Glue picks up yet another kill on Zerbic. 4-1-4 Cassinan, 4-0-6 Rek'Sai, 4-0-2 Jarvan. 4 kills the game right here, as then the Solo King popping his Ghost Blade and the Flagging Rod to get away from Trick and 9JX, trying desperately to get some vision down on this map here. Maybe try to stave off the assault coming in.
There's a whole lot they can do to stave off the assault. All Vision's going to do for them is tell them where not to be, as each and every single member of Nightblue's squad is so far ahead at this point in the game that they're going to win it out in those 1v1 situations. You can see now that Golden Blue's finished both the Zanyas and that Seraph and Grace, so it's going to be pretty much unkillable. Zen the Soul King will get caught out here, though. Is going to get ulted by our Legendary. Maybe able to get a kill before he goes down, though.
Oh man, the shutdown goes to 9JX too. It doesn't even go over to Trick, so he's not going to get the bonus gold here. Goes over to the support, who immediately falls to Golden Blue and Nightblue. Ridiculous damage coming out from Jarvan. I mean, the shield coming out from his W was able to keep him alive, as well as just the lifesteal coming out from the AoE given to him by Ravenous Hydra. Able to pick up a kill in a 3v1 situation. Stalled long enough to turn it into a 2-for-1. Oh, actually, Zingy now getting jumped on by Strumpus. The flash forward as well. Wants it missing with the Shuriken, though. Frostcoon's claim did go out, and Strumpus has to go all the way back to his original W shadow. But in comes Golden Glue. He picks up a kill off the side right there. It's a killing spree now for Cassidy.
I feel like every time Strumpus ults, he misses everything. Whenever his ultimate isn't used, he lands every single one of his skill shots. But in this game so far, every time he ultimates, immediately afterwards, it's not land a Shuriken to save his life. That's just the jukes from a Zingy, though. At the same time, a Zingy using such good movement, obviously has the same follow from the team to respond to that kill, and now a Baron for Nightblue's team as a whole. This is the advantage that they need, and we're very quickly approaching the 4th dragon, and wouldn't be surprised if we saw a 5th dragon once more. Nightblue squad, absolute control of this game. Definitely have to be cautious about pushing in those inhibitor turrets, though. They don't want to dive against Trick2g's Squadron, and Fabi going to get caught out here.
Ooh, the Frozen Tomb coming out from Lysandra, and Zerbik's able to pick up a kill on Corki right there. Fabi kind of in no man's land all by himself in that one. Maybe getting a little bit too big for his britches in that engagement. But still, that's only the 3rd kill of the game for Trick's team compared to the 17 that Nightblue's team has. They will be able to pick up a kill on a tower. Actually, a Void Rush coming up from Nightblue. Zen the Solo King gets engaged on here. Could we see a repeat of Blast Fight? Zen the Solo King dropping Arc Legendary down extremely low. Nightblue's able to pick up a kill over their side. Golden Blue comes in as well. It's a massacre in top lane. 4 of them go down for the price of only that Fabi kill earlier on. Lifeform Disintegration Rune comes out as well for Mazingi, just for good measure to make sure the Krugs get the message as well. And that is a 4 for none in favor of Nightblue's team. Doesn't even need an AD carry to push down the top lane.
Quite frankly, that was absurd play from Zen the Soul King. Zen the Soul King so far ahead that even while building full AD is able to survive 3 members of the team, basically pick up 2 kills as Lysandra was in the end picked up by Golden Blue, and then still live.
Well, looks like Stromb is trying to fight off this one. Doesn't want to go into a Zingy. Is a Zingy going to die from the top? No, he does not. Nightblue picks up another kill on the Janna. 6-0-8. 7-1-6 for Jarvan and Cassidy as well. One Nexus tower is down. The other one is already at half HP. This Baron buff from the side of Nightblue's team is going to help these things and tank up those tower shots. Golden goes in on the Zerbik, pops the Sonya's Hourglass. Is he going to wind up falling? The Nexus is falling as well, but this is from Trick's side. They wind up taking down the Nexus. Nightblue's team pops it up to 2-0 in this best of 5 series in another commanding game.
Amazing play from the team as a whole. Such good map move. And once again, Zen the Solo King so confident in his use of teleport. And RF Legendary kind of limited on this Lysandra pick. Lysandra obviously very strong in teamfight situations, but RF Legendary is not a teamfight style player. He prefers Nidalee. He prefers Rek'Sai, those sort of split pushing, high mobility champions. And when all of those are on the enemy team, clearly he's playing a little bit south of how he normally does. Curious to see how this 3rd game is going to go. Is it going to be another 3-0 for Nightblue's team? We'll have to wait and see.
Well, we're also going to have to see can Trick's team wind up bouncing back. They have to make the full run back from a 0-2 to a 3-2 in order to advance to the final round, where Voyboy and his Void Scouts are waiting in the finals of the Omen encounter. So far, it's been a very tankless strategy from the side of Trick's army, and Nightblue's team has just been able to move around the map and manipulate the gates for themselves. Is it going to be a 3-0 again for Nightblue's team, or can Trick's team bounce back and try to even up the score at 2-1? Guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, the Omen encounter, game number 3 of this best of 5, is going to be coming right here, right now.